All right, we go with live. Clap it up. Yabashim Yasha Brakatah, La Yasha. Amadu. Wanyapadam. Start with the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. You can find it in Matthew chapter 6, verses 8 through 13. Abinaw, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakuka, Taba'ah, Batazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Barakaza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathanaw, Lachon, Ko, Yawam, Wasalakanaw, Chabawatnaw, Chasalaknaw, Chabawatnaw, Wala'ah, Tabiyanaw, Bansawam, Abal, Hausanaw, Mayam, Brad, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wa'al, Watapar, Lawalami, Aman. In English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Amen. Psalms 121 in Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Hahari, Mayan, Yaba'ah, Azari, Ma'im, Yahweh, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al-Yanawam, Shamarka, Hanath, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashan, Shalmah, Yashal, Yahweh, Shamar, Yahweh, Tazolka, Aliyad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'ah, Hakikah, Bayarak, Balayila, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makal Rai, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza Atka, Wabu Wa'ak, Ma'ita, Wayat, Slaki, Wyatt, Awalam. In English, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. It's like the Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Pray for the Hakak, the power. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Balkashah, Nathanaw, Hakak, the Rapa'ah, Call Makalah, Call Marawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazaran, Hakak, Lahakyum, Hamathim, Hakak, Al-Rahwa, Hatmal, the Garsha, Bashim Yahushua, the Wadaman. In English, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it. Pray to bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Barak Nanawa. Wayasha Allah. Wahabayat. Sapari. Barak. Rapa'ah. Magan. Hagan. This time you can say the name of a loved one once. Everyone repeats that name once. If you're following us on social media, type in the name of a loved one and we'll send the prayers up with you. Israelite School UPK. House of Maccabi. House of House of Tazawan. Kabar. House of Kadazayan. House of Torah. House of Kanagabar. Benjamin. Jamie. Whitney. Annalise. The McIntosh family. Raphael. Charles. All the young men. All the troopers. All of Israel. All of Israel. House of Torah. Arma Johnson. Monique Johnson. Kenneth Johnson. All the short of Israel. As you became Minnesota. As you became Kentucky. As you became Indiana. As you became Kentucky. House of Markabah. As you became Indiana. As you became Indiana. As you became Ohio. As you became Ohio. As you became Haiti. As you became Haiti. B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Throughout Amun. In English, what we just said was, Lord, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us in Israel, in the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahain, all Damiyah, Lakah, all Takarash, all Tashquat, all Kayahna, Awabyaka, Yahama Yawan, Ra'ash, Al Amaka, Ya'ira Yamu, Sawada, Wayata, Yaitazwa, Al Tazawapanka, Amaru, Lakawa, Monakak Yadam, Magawi, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yashal, Iwada, Kaya, Naitazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Alyaka, Baryak, Yakarah, Ahalia, Adwan, Wayalayan, Mawab, Wahagari, Gabal, Wahamwan, Wamalak, Palashak, Amyashabi, Nazawar, Gama Ashawar, Nalwa, Imam, Haywa, Zarwai, Labanya Loa, Salah, Aisha Laham, Kamadi, Kasayasara, Kayabian, Banakha, Kwayashwan, Nashamabu, Bayan Dahara, Yahau Erslak, Hayawa, Daman, Ladam, Shatam, Nada Yab Mau, Karab, Wakazaba, Wakazabak, Wakazal, Manai, Call Nasayakam, Asar, Amaru, Nayarasha, Lanawa, Naawa, Alahain, Alahaya, Satamu, Kagalbala, Kagwash, Lapanya Raka'a, Salaki, Lapanya Rawaka, Kaash, the Byra Yaira, Wakalahaba, Talahat, Haryam, Khan, Taradatma, Basaraka, Wabasa, Wapathka, Tabalaham, Mala'at, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Wayat, Bakwashwa, Shamka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Wayat, Bahaw, Adya'ai, Wayat, Kapar, Wayat, Baru, Wayat, Daiwa, Kaya, Atta, Shamka, Yahweh, Labarka, Aliwan, Al, Call, Rataza. In English, keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and when they and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come and let us come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagrims, Gabal, and Am, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur is also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as the Sisera, as the Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeeb. Yea, all the princes as Zabah, and as Elamun, who said, Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burned the wood, and as the flame set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with that tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they might seek thy name. O Lord, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites and the nations, and they drug dealers, court system, prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, Pacha Komataja, gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, master space program, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet and the airwaves, cable access channels, the radio channels, convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer, the Yahushua, Michael and Gabriel, come down with the flying saucers, punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake it that coming. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you always. So be it. So, Shabi. It's good. It's a little tilted. I don't know what I did to it.
A little tilted, like.
It's just no. Yeah, put it back where it was. Yeah, okay. It's not. It's just. All right, we should be good. I thought. We are back for another Sabbath service. Twin Cities, Minnesota. Coming live from St. Paul specifically, but servicing Minneapolis as well. So the Sabbath service brings about a customary tradition of honoring the Most High and going through the records of the people. It's like that. It's like, you see if there's another ladder up there. See if there's another ladder up there. Lighter. Like, we just got to get this incense going. If anything, it should be up on them shelves. Shout out to Zariak and Lily Creations for the incense. They got that Frank and Myrrh. Hand dipped, homemade. Should have this already set up. Copy it on the other one. And we got one list. I mean, if it's not up there, we can worry about it later. All right, so we're going to get into the Hebrew scriptures. We're at Ezekiel 10, chapter 5. So we got it. Ezekiel chapter 10, verses 15 through 21. I'm just going to go through 22 since that's the last verse in that chapter. So we'll read 8 instead of the traditional 7 for today. So we'll kick it off in the Hebrew first. Like, share, subscribe to content. Get ready for the East, or it's like the West Coast cookout. I believe that's coming up first. Double check. We got the East Coast, West Coast, Texas, Florida. So the East Coast is New York, West Coast is Vegas. So 1 second just to find it. There we go. So we just got done with the fire weekend. So New York is going to be August 19th to the 21st. Texas, October 7th through the 10th. Las Vegas, November 11th to the 14th. Florida, December 2nd to the 6th. So you got a lot of time right now to get your travel and lodging arrangements set up. Don't push it to the last minute. You know, these events can be costly enough as it is, even just with the travel. Like even we got it set up, even if you do follow kind of protocol and get everything set up, well ahead of time. It's still not exactly cheap. So do not waste time and procrastinate and wait until the last minute to get your arrangements up. Go to isupk.com, find the school nearest you, get in contact with them, see what the agenda is. Hey, close the door out. What? As always, Israel paid tithes. You can still go to isupk.com, scroll down to the donate now button, pay tithes, and make donations that way. If you got the Zelle app, you can first name is Israelite School, last name UPK. Email is tithes@isupk.com. If you wish to make a donation, help out the school in your region or the school on the other side of the planet from you. We pretty much all still have a Cash App. So for us, you can go to $ all caps UPK Minnesota and make donations that way as well. All right, it's like this. We're gonna get this started. Ezekiel chapter 10, verse 15 in the Hebrew. Waya Ramawa. Hakarawabium. Hayah. Hachaya. Ashar. Lawat Slakia. La Yalatia. Slakia. La Yatkib. Banahar Kabar. Wabalaka. Hakarawabium. It's like Hakarawabium. Walakwa. Hawapanu. Atazalama. Atazalama. Wabashak. Hakarawabium. Kanabyahan. La Rawan. Ma'ai. Parataza. La'a. Isabu. Kawapanyu, Gam, Gam, Ham, Matazano, Bye, Madam, Yamaru, Wabarawamo, Yawawamo, Autan, Kayat, Rawak, Hakayat, Baham, verse 18. Wayatazaha, Kabawa, Yahweh, Maaya, Mapatan, Habiat, Wayanmad, Hakarawabi, Wayashao, Hakarawabi, Ath Kanapyaham, Wayarawamu, Man, Parataza, Layanya, Batazatan, Wahawa Panyu, Lamatan, Wayamad, Patak, Shara, Bayat, Yahweh, Hakudanwanyu, Kabawa. Alaya. Yasha'ala. Al-Yaham. Malah Ma'ayla. Verse 20. Hayat. Hakayat. Ashar. Rayat. Yeah. Rayat. Yeah. Zakat. Alaya. Yasha'ala. Banahar. Kabal. Wadai. Kayat. Karawabian. Karawabian. Hama. Bayat. Arabayat. Pan. Bakar. Warabai. Kanapin. Lakai. Wadamawa. Yadi. Adam. Zakat. Nabian. Wadamawa. Banyan. Hama. Apani. Ashar. Rayati. Ar. Nahar. Kabal. Marayaham. Wabatham. Ayash. Al. Abar. Panywa. Yalaku. That's the end of it in Hebrew. Clap it up. So that was Ezekiel chapter 10, verses 15 through 22. There's just that one verse left in the chapter, so I figured we'd add to it. Otherwise, we just would have did 7. So we're going to switch over to the English. And again, you should get yourself a King James 1611 Bible, or at least the modern King James, not the NKG or NKJV, KJV. not the modern KJV or the NKJV. Get yourself a modern KJV Bible. It's a closest English transliteration from the Hebrew and the Greek to English, where the definitions still more or less match up. There are some inconsistencies with the origins of some of the words. You'll see things like Easter instead of Passover.
Yeah, when they talk about Easter, we had to think about where we was actually at that time. Also, in Europe, they celebrated Easter, and even if you didn't celebrate it, you knew when it was. You know what I'm saying? Just like we are in this kingdom today. Like, say for instance, let's say, around the time of Easter, such and such a, this and that. Not that we celebrate it, but where you know what time frame this and that was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you had Easter there, but we didn't, the ones that weren't, following after the pagan customs and not celebrating.
And they did a lot of that, like with their own pagan holidays around the Lord's high holy days. And it's been going on for so long in their rulership that, I mean, under our oppression, under their oppression, I mean, we end up rolling with it. We forgot about our customs, we forgot about our culture. But again, thanks to the ICP County Commander General, we're bringing all that back. The records have not been lost. The spirit has not been forgotten. It's a beautiful thing once you get involved, but you gotta actually get involved. It's not enough to start a Facebook page and accumulate a bunch of friends and break down scriptures with them. Like you gotta be with your people. You gotta physically put in work with your people for this to happen. So this is what we do. During the week in any zone you can find classes. On the weekends we run the Sabbath service. If you can only make it online for right now, don't press yourself to the point where if you can't be there in person, you're just not going to go to class. No, get into class online first. If that's all you can do right now, maybe it's your slavery that's holding you back. Maybe you're enrolled in school and you already got commitments toward that. We have very flexible class hours. If you get in contact with the brother in your zone, y'all can work something out. Maybe you work and go to school first and second shift, and you're only available third shift. Brothers labor like that, so I mean we can definitely accommodate your needs. But get involved, get in contact with the school near you, and don't keep this thing to yourself.
Right.
So we're gonna get into Ezekiel in English, chapter 10, verse 15. Just do a recap of what we was talking about yesterday. Ezekiel's still going through these visions, and he's describing the chariots. He's describing the cherubims, which I think that's kind of another mistranslation. Cherubims.
No, it's just its own because that's the order of angels.
Okay.
That's the order. Actually, you got different angelic beings, just like you got cherubims and the seraphims. Of course, it was translated into English. From the Hebrew into English, but at the same time, that is a order of angels. Angelic beings.
Just the way the Christian church always made it sound, you got these little baby cherubs and all that shit.
Right,
so they're not little naked white babies flying around.
Right. Those are little cupids and little pagan gods.
Right.
They were all about
pedophilia.
Yeah.
Fucking weirdos.
If you ever notice, they always make them with a big butt.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Emphasizing on what they like about.
Yep. It's crazy out there, man. That's why you got to get in this body, man.
Right.
You got to commit. You'll be safe over here. You'll be protected and you'll be guarded. And if you were a soldier, if you were a warrior, you were combatant. I mean, we got some frontline officers that need to get held too. So I mean, if you want to put in work, this is where you should do that. Right. If you're in the moment, if you're weak and you're vulnerable and you need guidance, you need protection, we got that for you here too. It's a crazy time that we're living in, but again, this culture is coming back. It was never lost to us. I mean, it was lost to us for a while. It was kept from us. And then, some crazy niggas and spics started reading the Bible again and, picked up that book, opened up them records, cracked them seals open, and here we are since 1969.
running it.
Right. Real revolution.
For real. For real. And our press hates this kind of stuff. They hate the possibility of us not giving them billions every holiday. And so what do we got coming up? Like not our high holy days, but what do they got on the calendar? So we don't even know. It's hard to even think of it. August, September. Labor Day coming up. All right, we were slaves. We were slaves while they were celebrating their Labor Day. We still slaves.
Celebrating Labor Day, and they wasn't even doing
I don't know what you're supposed to do on
Labor.
that day.
It's like
I said, I don't know what you're supposed to do on that day.
cook out and drink.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Maybe do your lawn or something like that.
Right.
Seems to be the standard Edomite thing to do.
Right.
And then we all sitting there like, oh shit, we got a day off of slavery.
Right.
Boy, don't let that little gift destroy your heart, man. It's not meant for us.
Yeah. Quick to be like, that's good.
Yeah. You got off, and then you're gonna spend all that money that you just got done working for that entire week, that entire previous paycheck. You're gonna spend all that money at Walmart or at Costco or something like that. You can spend all that money for a big old grand cookout when y'all could be doing that shit any day.
Right.
Any day of the week. But now again, we in oppression, so Monday through Friday we're normally sold up. And you got overtime and whatnot, so your weekends might get sold up.
Right.
You got kids who gotta go to school, and you got a rib that just won't shut the hell up. Depending on circumstances. It gets a little overwhelming, and it's hard to find your way through the muck. We got counseling for that too. So I mean, don't feel like you got to do everything alone, because you're not alone. You got brothers and sisters that are going through some of the same things right in this school right now, but we're finding a better quality life and way to balance everything out. So definitely encourage, if that school near you, go to askupk.com and find out what brothers you got to contact. In the meantime, Ezekiel chapter 10, verse 15 in the English. And the cherubims. Is that word again? Actually, let's see if they got it in Webster Dictionary. It's like we ain't got the sound things yet. We got it. Let's see. It's like, bear with me 1 second. We're gonna see what they got to say about them little fat make white babies. Now again, you do got to be careful, even if you have the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Historically, the definitions are very accurate. When it comes to the philosophical, ideological, or for lack of a better term, religious definitions, that's the part where you want to get that double checked. If it don't line up with the scripture and the context, then it's going to be of no use to you.
Well, I think I got it.
All right, read what you guys says.
It says, in order of angels.
Does yours also say see celestial hierarchy? There's one that we want us to review here. No?
No, it says,
Was that all that said?
it says beautiful winged child in painting or in sculpture.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's wrong.
That's not it. That's one thing too. A lot of the times,
It's probably wrong
we got,
for the.
we got the biblical definition.
Hold on. What's up? So you were saying?
A lot of times we gotta look at the biblical definition.
Right.
But sometimes the Webster can be, real misguiding. Like you look up fair in the Webster, and it's gonna, refer to white.
Right.
When you go to Solomon, that can't be the case because it said black, but then fair, you know what I'm saying, was in the same, chapter and everything, meaning, something else, meaning it's beautiful.
So when here, so I got them with the same definition that you had said. So they're saying an order of angels, but here it's saying see celestial hierarchy. So I got that Satan on the next, and then 2 cherubs, beautiful winged child and painted in sculpture, and then an innocent looking, chubby and rosy person. So no, no, that's not the cherub. The first definition was the closest in order of angels. And then they got celestial hierarchy. Let's just see this real quick. The traditional hierarchy of angels rank from lowest to highest into the following 9 orders: angels, archangels, principalities, powers, virtues, dominions, thrones, cherubim, and seraphim. So, all right, so that's the ranking order according to this of the order of the angels.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, even with that ranking order, the ones that the cherubims and the seraphims are actually physically the closest to the Most High, as far as being near Him, and that's what order they serve. Just like the seraphims, you have the ones that are right at the throne. You know what I'm saying? That cover 2 wings cover the Most High face.
Right.
So do they protect them or something?
You know what it is? No, they're protecting the angels.
Always.
They're protecting, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, they can see whatever, see the Most High's face, so let's try and turn to dust. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they had the 2 cover his face,
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
I mean, even the angels can't see the face of the Most High. Yeah, and that's the order that they serve. And the cherubim, these particular cherubims, is right at the throne. You know what I'm saying? They right by the wheels and everything, ministering to His throne. And the thing about it is, even the higher up orders of angels are not physically close to the Most High like that. You know what I'm saying?
And again, that's one of the problems with them Christian churches, Catholic churches, Muslims, all these ideologies, all these atheist groups and Scientology. They think that they got the answer, and then when you ask them about something serious, they might jump into like the Anunnaki or like the lizard people,
Right.
some of the, like the gray aliens and things like that.
Stop.
Right.
But we crazy.
Right.
We crazy. We might be crazy. That's always possible. I'm never hell, it could be possible. Just everything has been answered in these records, in these books.
When we break things down, it makes
way more sense.
You know what I'm saying?
It just happens to make more sense to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians than it does to everybody else.
Right. And the thing about it, they believe that it's impossible for them to actually believe that the Hebrews were slaves in ancient Egypt and built the pyramids and the cities. They would much rather believe somebody came from planet. You know what I'm saying?
I heard it was made in the 4th dimension, and then
came down, and that's what they be teaching.
That's one teaching that I heard. I don't know. I can't remember who does that, but
How come it ain't no new pyramids coming down? You know what I'm saying?
it's been a couple thousand years. I mean,
Right, exactly. I mean, you've been a kid. Single one come down in our time.
At all.
Right.
And then they just because they can't mimic with modern technology, they can't mimic the same precision that we had used back then. I mean, they overcomplicate a simple thing.
Right.
So I mean, like even their technology is gonna throw them off.
Right. Yeah, they always boasting in their science. And,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And they way off. You know what I'm saying? As far as their science.
Yeah, because then they always got to reconfigure the theory or the equation to it. That there's another thought process behind it. There's another theory behind it. There's another experiment that needs to get done. They're not quite sure about that. That's why they call it theories.
Right.
I mean, y'all, they don't know for sure. That's why it's called science, which means let's look that shit up too. It means like to learn.
Right.
But we just don't get the science. It's all right. It's like we're getting off subject here. We'll say that for a class when we can crack on it a little bit more. But yeah, so we just looked up the definition of cherubims. It's not the modern concept that the churches use or religious affiliate use. It's not them scriptures. It's not it's not them sculptures. It's not them paintings of pedophilic behavior.
Right. That's Canaanite stuff right there.
There
They
you
just
go.
made them into white people.
There you
That's all
go.
Canaanite culture.
Cause I guess I have, but you don't really see black cherubs. You know, black people don't make babies running around.
The only time you see that is when black artists try to
Right.
imitate
Right.
Greek art.
Still using that same philosophy
Right.
and mindset,
Right.
and just trying to adapt it to their people so that they can feel involved. Boy, this gets you involved. You want to be involved in something right here. That gets you involved.
And people don't want to be involved with scripture because
Nah.
there's rules.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He ain't trying to see that the Egyptologist dude ain't trying to see that you can't have sex with another man's wife.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why they want to be
Right.
Egyptologists and have some great
Yep.
names, so that they can, have to be looked at as some great one and seduce men's wives, stuff like that.
And then there's this spirituality behind it. Free love, and
Right.
you're exchanging energy.
Nature boy type
Yeah.
stuff,
It's so powerful. It'll get you killed, man.
And weed.
Yeah. like that lifestyle can get you killed. I mean, whether it makes, like, even if it's like an open relationship type thing, could make that man jealous at some point. He might have been cool with it in the beginning, but maybe he's got to change a heart at the end. Doesn't
Right,
matter.
exactly.
Like you would still be wrong for doing that in the first place, even if he gave you permission. That's not your woman. Go get your own woman.
Right.
That's not how the world's supposed to work. But again, leave it up to these people, and I mean, we'll be up to all types of disgusting, blasphemous, divisive ideas and thoughts, trying to bring that into reality. It's a mess. It's a mess. That lifestyle will get you killed, man. Leave that alone. Let them play them games if they want to. You stay on course. Let's get back to this. Ezekiel 10:15. There we go. And the cherubim, Bible shot. The what?
Ezekiel chapter 10 and verse 15. And the cherubims were lifted up. This is the living creature that I saw by the river of Chebar.
So now, prior to in verse 14, they were saying that everyone had four faces. The first face is that of a cherub, of a man, of a lion, of an eagle. Prior to that, in the verses from last week that we were reading, they were describing how the chariots looked with a wheel within a wheel. The wheel was as the color of a beryl stone. With the wings and with the straight foot. I think maybe that was the previous week. But he's still like describing his witness of seeing the angels and the cherubims in this vision. Slack, you good?
Verse 16. And when the cherubims went, the wheels went by them. And when the cherubims lifted up their wings to mount up from the earth, the same wheels also turned not from beside them.
So this is just describing a very linear movement. If the cherubim went up, the wheel, and again, they're calling it wheels here, but just a relatable term, we're just gonna call them chariots. The chariots would go up with it too. It didn't have to like arch itself back and then shoot up. It went up. Angels went up. It went up.
Right. Because these actual chariots right here are actually the wheels to the Most High's throne. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So like,
Yeah,
I'm misunderstanding.
because you got you got one cherub on one side with the wheel. He ministers to that wheel. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the one on the other side. He ministers to that wheel. You know what I'm saying? That's why it shows the cherubims and the wheel being together, and the wheels is doing what the cherubims want the wheels to do.
Right.
That's dope stuff right there.
And then a couple verses down, it says something pretty interesting too. But where I think that's 20 or something like that. But I will keep it going. But yeah, it's describing the way that they move, being under the control of the chariots. So it's like good.
Verse 17, when they stood, these stood. And when they were lifted up, these lifted up themselves also. For the spirit of the living creature was in them.
All right, actually, that was the verse I was thinking of. So it's not like they didn't really have steering wheels or levers or anything.
Right,
like
yeah,
that.
they really
It was
yeah.
connected.
And the spirit was in the wheels, like you got a big wheel, like the spokes, like the spinners on
Right.
you know what I'm saying,
Right.
Gatons, you know,
Right.
instead of Gatons or something.
20-inch rims.
Right, you know.
And again, it's just mimicking everything that the angels are doing, or the
Right.
angels are thinking or influencing these wheels to move. So
Right.
if it stood, you know, like a dead stop or something like that, if it was just chilling there, it just chilled there. It didn't rock back and forth on you. You didn't need to pump the brakes on it. Where if wanted it stop, it stop. Wanted it to lift up, it'll lift up.
Right, this stuff is like just everything happening like at the speed of thought.
And if they're it's like you got
Just like if you decide you want to raise your arm, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Electrical impulse is shot there at the speed of thought. For you to raise up your arm, you know, it's like the cherubs and the wheels are operating like that. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, if they were pissed off about not being able to recreate the pyramids, I mean, shit. How mad are they going to be about not being able to recreate the chariots?
Right.
Like that's going to mess them up for life.
Right. Exactly. They trying what they
trying
stuff that they got. You know what I'm saying?
A brother had showed me a video of Air Force planes chasing and shooting at a UFO. Personally, I don't believe it. I don't see that. I mean, maybe we'll have to look it up and check it out.
I don't know about that one myself. You know, but what I do know is with all this technology coming out, they have their own. You know what I'm saying? Their own chariots, their own wheels and stuff like that. You know, and who knows? There might have been some stuff from the United States shooting at a Chinese one. Hell, who the hell knows? You know what I'm saying? What I do know is World War III cracks off. People might see some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They start breaking out all types of flying shit that you never even knew they even had. You know what I'm saying?
It kind of. And I mean that the space program, or what do you call it, Space Wars?
Right.
Yeah. So the Star Wars program that Trump was trying to start, that I mean, different nations have been trying to accomplish for a while. There's a certain group of people that know the validity of the Bible, and that are so arrogant, just like Babylon, that thinking that they can match and they can combat the Most High.
And the thing about it is, the Most High is allowing them to think that.
Right.
He's letting them get all this technology because the Lord is making the battle. He wants the battle to be a sweet battle. You know what I'm saying? He wants it to be, you know what I'm saying? He wants them to get at the height of the power, the height of the technology, the best of the best, so that he can drag them, you know what I'm saying, for the whole world.
And strip them of all that pride, all that prestige, all that military prowess that they've accumulated, and just bring them down to nothing.
Right.
And then that's just like, if I could, and then all that's going to be set up for our use.
Right.
Just like in Egypt, they got puffed up. And we built that kingdom up to such a precipice that at the boiling point, at the point where it was going to pop, they had accumulated so much wealth and riches that when they started getting the punishments in place for the Most High, I mean, they were like, here, just take this, take everything and get out. Whatever you need to get, whatever you need, we got you. Just take it and go.
Right.
They couldn't get us out of that fast enough.
Right. Yeah, at that time, they silver, they gold didn't mean nothing to them at that point.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Right. They just wanted to live. They just wanted their babies to stop dying.
Right.
They shouldn't have started killing ours.
Right.
That's a good way to ensure that your children don't get killed. Leave us the hell alone, man.
Right.
And for you brothers and sisters out there, like, don't take it for granted either, man. Make something of it. Like there's a lot of work that our people need to get done over here. And I mean, UPK is always going to be UPK. We're always going to keep things moving. But it is our heart's desire that everybody comes home. Damn all that 2/3 doctrine, all those wicked bastards that claim that they're the 1/3 and that everybody else who ain't doing what they're doing is 2/3. Damn all that. We want everybody coming home.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and be so proud and arrogant to believe that I'm a 1/3. I'm just going to do my job to the best that I can possibly do and pray that the Lord show some mercy on me.
Right.
And yeah,
right. Good. Yeah, we're talking about the 2/3. Hell, they ain't doing what the hell they supposed to
At all.
be doing. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, the 2/3 of them is anybody that disagrees with them.
Yeah, like in an instant.
Right. You know, if you don't run around with that hemp garment,
Right.
made out of hemp. You know what I'm saying? You know, it ain't. You can't even call it a garment. It's actually rags that they be wearing. You know, if you ain't running around with that, then you one of the two. You know, you one of the 2/3.
One of the 2/3, man.
In reality, they dress like, you know, they dress similar to how in the Edomite Abraham movies and stuff like that. They dress similar to that. This is how they conceive the Christ in dress.
And a lot of their garments, like their modern style, is based off of like Muslims,
Right.
Arabs, but with their garments.
Right. And then they'll say, no, but this was ours first. This was ours first. No, it wasn't. According to the Bible, we ain't roll like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then how do you know? When's the last time you saw an authentic Jew from the land?
Right.
So I mean, it's how people look at us. They look at our garments. Like, what the hell is it you wearing?
You can find what we.
I was going to say.
Right.
Yeah, you can find this. You can see this. You can see that glorious and warlike material, and even how we're patterned after. It's a big difference from joining a Facebook group or subscribing to a YouTube channel and thinking, and just because, even if you know that you are legitimately an Israelite, thinking that everybody who sneezes Israel, they're a man of God. It's not going to work that way, and you're gonna get your heart broke out there, man. I mean, brothers and sisters have come up dead messing with some of them organizations.
Right.
And not from natural causes. Not from natural causes, man. I mean, some of their leaders have been locked up and exposed for being adulterers. And I mean, I don't want to throw out all types of accusations that I don't know for sure happened. I can assume that they've been exposed for being thieves. And I mean, Nasty Nate, I mean, sending pics of his rod to his congregation at his school.
Right.
And then that one other brother in his organization that murdered our sister, Joy Morgan, and it's like it wasn't even a brother. It wasn't a brother. That was a Hamite. That was I don't know, probably general butt naked, you know, brother, cousin, or something like that. Embezzlement, fraud, extortion, like there's some wicked bastards out there, and they are Israelites. You had Sadducees and Pharisees, you know, back then too, doing some of the same things. And that story in Judges with Deborah, those were two elders in the community, two brothers, two men of God, supposedly in the community that were chosen by the people, that were spying on that sister.
Susanna.
Oh, it's like Susanna. Yeah, it's like Deborah was a different badass from a different story. Yeah, Susanna. It's like what? When Daniel, when that spirit got put on Daniel to step up for. But those are two brothers who was lying on her, bearing false witness, accusing her of sleeping with some young dude when she was married to a man. And they told her, like, listen, if you don't sleep with us, we gonna tell everybody that you've been sleeping with this dude, committing adultery on your husband with him. if you don't sleep with us. If you don't let us run a train on you, we're gonna tell everybody else that you nasty. And
Yeah.
if you were to, all right, so the words that they had used back in the King James days to describe that, coming from the Hebrew, you can directly translate that into modern English in Ebonics. That's exactly the situation that was going on. And that sister didn't fold. That sister did not budge. She was ready to die. She did not cheat on her husband, but even her husband didn't believe her. Huh? And it took the Lord to put that spirit on Daniel to step up and defend it. And then he exposed them. And they was gonna get that sister killed. Now, according to their concept, like the people that would have put her to death, they would have just been putting her to death. Those men that were accusing her were setting her up for murder because she was innocent. Daniel was so cold with it, he brought it to the point where those two men got put to death. Because, again, they were about to murder that sister. So they ended up suffering that punishment for their crimes and their wickedness. Those are some sick bastards back then. You got some sick bastards today. They're going to try to take you away from the truth. And they'll break down scriptures all day long. A lot of them are calling in the UPK, or they're studying our classes, getting the breakdown, and then feeding their people with that.
Right.
So if you want the source of it, go at any group you at. I don't care if they didn't have any prior affiliations with another group. They all originate from UPK 1 West. So you might as well just start with UPK 1 West instead of getting your heart broken, getting betrayed and stolen and thieved on from all these other brothers just to end up back home. Just start at home and don't leave, because that's what everybody else did. Except for a couple brothers named General Yohana and General Mahayman and General Mayak Allah. I mean, they held it down when everybody else left. And that's where you got your rapist, pedophilic GMS. That's where you got your betrayal and homosexual training, loving, murderous IUIC. That's where you got your confused and completely brainwashed, ass backwards House of David and FOPE. Your ICGJC, things that just don't make sense anymore.
Right.
Things that just don't make sense.
GOCC.
Everybody love everybody still.
Now they singing and doing Christian music, and they doing all of that. It's a sad thing. The leader had like a concert deal going on.
No.
He was being a serious.
No,
They ain't doing little videos, what I'm saying? Singing and stuff like that, singing Christian songs.
Now, Psalms was not Christian songs.
Yeah.
The Psalms, they was talking about war, man. They was talking about going to battle. They was talking about Lord, like destroy them. That's how they was talking. Hey, let me kill them. And King Solomon, like Solomon and David, man, they had bars. They had bars, son.
Right.
Get with it.
And ASAP also. A lot of the songs are done with ASAP too. And it's crazy because it's just like how it is nowadays. You know how the niggas would make a song and then you give that song to somebody to make the beats and put the beat to it? That's what King David did, you know what I'm saying? He would make the song and give it to ASAP and his sons, and they'll make the beat. You know what I'm saying? To make the music to go to it. I was like, man, that's pretty dope. You remember, there's one scripture that said he took the song and gave it to ASAP.
Right, and that's like I'm looking at it right now. So what is it? What is this? 50, 67. So Psalm 79, a psalm of Asaph. Psalm 80, to the chief musician upon Shoshanim, Edith, a psalm of Asaph.
Right. To the chief musician, he the one that makes the music, make the
See, that's great. You cannot tell us that is not us. Cannot tell us that's not us. We had engineers back then, man.
Right. The chief musician, he makes beats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So you had a brother that may have freestyled it, and then he was like, damn, that was cold.
Who's one of the top beat making dudes today?
Because he had like Swiss beats. Yeah.
He was the Swift Beats of back then, you know what I'm saying?
And then Psalms 83, the one that we read, that it doesn't in the way that we read it, didn't start off that way, but it is a song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence. Okay, like we might have to put that one to beat one day.
Yeah,
We might have to try this. Yeah, I can see this one flowing. We'll give it to Captain Cockdesire Adamon Korak or something like that, and then let it tear it up. But no, this is the culture of the people. And
if I could, according to the Bible, the very first time you ever see a guitar, I'm not talking about a harp.
Right.
A guitar mentioned King David had it, and he invented instruments too. Without the way I see it, King David invented the guitar. You know what I'm saying? Remember when it talks about on the instrument with 10 strings? How many strings a guitar got?
It got 10.
So where I see it, who invented the guitar?
Earliest records of it.
One of his inventions.
And
it's in the scriptures. The only time you ever heard see it mentioned.
And again, just throughout history, whole societies have modeled their way of life after the Bible, and every time that they have used our records and held in strict accordance of it, there's certain things that they couldn't do because they knew that this was not for them. Could you give me another instance? Certain things that they knew that they could not do because it was not for them, like the temple worship, the sacrifices, the high holy days. But when they would keep the laws of, for example, if you see your brother waxing poor with you,
right,
how you can deal with other nations. If you saw that animal that died of itself, you can't eat it, but you can sell it to somebody else.
Right, and that sounds like separation.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have mastered separation. And them fake Jews right now, again, they're using our laws to build up very mightily their communities and their families, sending their kids to school and running the Diamond District and the media and Hollywood and all that.
And then they use the twisted, perverted version of that law and use it to sell us pork in the grocery stores to them.
And then you got all these Christian-based, whether it's churches, community groups, fundraisers, volunteer programs, 501c3s, blah, blah, blah. Again, believing that the law is done away with, that certain things are allowable. They'll pick and choose it because they'll tell you the dietary law is off the table,
right?
But you still can't murder nobody.
What is up with these vegan, vegetarian dudes that's making these videos swearing up and down that eating meat is a sin? Have you seen those?
I've heard about them. I haven't seen
got
them.
One dude, he's a straight up nut, a serious nut case.
When they don't even get the point that, listen, if you want to eat nothing but vegetables and fruits, that's fine.
Yeah.
Go for it. But do not try to impress that upon somebody else, another brother or sister. And don't try to force your kids to live that way. You can influence them. And you can, give them the pros and cons of being carnivorous, omnivorous, or just an herbivore. But don't sit there and try to beat it down their throats that you gotta eat only fruits and vegetables. Because there's no law in the Bible saying that you can't eat meat. The only thing that they go off of is that you were given every herb as meat or something like that. Every green
to be meat for you. But what people don't understand is they think that's talking about the plants replace actual meat, flesh. That's not what that's talking about. To be meat for something means to be something good for your use.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like you get a cut. You take this herb, slap it on the cut. You get this and that happens. You take this herb. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got athlete's foot. You grab the bushel over here, rub it on your feet. You know what I'm
If
saying?
you got a fever,
You
if you
know.
got diarrhea, if you got constipation, if you're nausea, if you got nausea, if you got headaches,
Right.
there's medicinal, there's specifically medicinal plants out there, and there's nothing wrong with using that.
Right.
Again, the marijuana plant is not evil. The coca plant is not evil. The opium plant is not evil. Just look at what they've done with the medicinal use of that plant.
Right.
This is how it's supposed to be. The tobacco plant is not evil, but we're not supposed to be smoking it. We're not supposed to be injecting our veins or injecting our veins, and abusing even alcohol. I mean, there's nothing wrong with fermented fruit or I don't know what else they would use for it. I mean, the sugar. I mean, mainly it kind of comes from fruit and wheat and yeast and things like that. There's nothing wrong with some strong drink. Don't go broke drinking though. Don't be one of them people, waking up and going to sleep till. I mean, you're drunk all day long, becoming a danger to yourself and others. You might be a construction worker or something like that, having to operate heavy machinery. Don't be a drunk. Don't be a drunk trying to operate the crane.
Right.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, many people get messed up like that. Yeah. Operating machinery and sharp.
Yeah.
Stuff we got sharp stuff on it.
And then if you choose not to drink, there ain't nothing wrong with that either. Even during the Passover, I believe they said we got grape juice also. That's still the juice of the wine or the vine.
Right.
That's still completely applicable and lawful for the high holy days and ceremonies.
Right.
But you do got to eat that lamb. You got to eat that lamb.
Brothers that believe in having only one wife.
Right.
But that's your choice. That's
no sweat.
But don't sit there trying to make it like it's a doctrine and another nigga sinning because he got two.
And then trying to use Bible passages out of context. And especially a lot of y'all just listening to the woman, or you're just trying to feed that woman.
Mm-hmm.
Don't set her up for failure either.
Right.
I mean, if that's what y'all believe in, that's what you want to do, that's fine. And I mean, your woman has every opportunity on the planet to make sure that you never get another wife.
Right, exactly.
She got the tools in her bag.
Right, and that's a means of control and giving. And the scriptures say, "Don't teach thy wife an evil lesson against me."
Right.
When you pushing that monogamy stuff, you're teaching an evil lesson because now you got a woman that y'all in the grocery store, you better not look at nothing else.
Right.
You better not think about it.
Just keep your eyes on the canned foods. Keep your eyes on the canned food.
Yeah, exactly. You don't look down. You doing what the hell she should be doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You looking down.
Right.
You looking down. She looking at you. You know what I'm saying?
Better make sure your cashier is like 80 plus.
Right.
Maybe 400 or 500 pounds or something like that.
And the thing about it is, you never going to be out in society and not see no attractive women. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to sneak and look.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which makes you similar to a liar. You got to do all of that.
Yeah,
you got to run around and sneak.
Very
you know
true.
what I'm saying? And look at a woman.
And how General Muhammad had put it, you only lie if you're afraid.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're sitting there kind of, like I said, sneak look, you got your shades on and shit like that.
Right.
And you pretending to, you're pretending to not look. I mean, don't be afraid of your woman.
Right.
Don't.
And then
Do that.
Woe unto thee if she catches you. Woe unto thee, you know what I'm saying? Now you copping deuces like crazy.
Right.
I'm gonna look at you.
Don't get beat up, man. Don't get beat up by your woman.
That is hell.
Yeah, that is hell. That is absolutely hell. And in this society, in these times, is that lifestyle enforced?
Right.
It's not honored though, because I'm saying politicians and judges and Christians that apply that monogamistic lifestyle, they out there fornicating and committing adultery and with prostitutes and with congregation members' wives.
Yeah, exactly.
Like don't believe that hype. When it's not just an Israelite custom to have had more than one wife.
Right.
Now, also keep in mind, it's not a law. It's not a law that you got to have a dozen or what. You can never have a wife if you want. You don't ever have to get married. Yahweh never had a rib. But yeah.
If I could, they don't even, they're not even doing it in a decent fashion.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
You know, like brothers would do, the way they didn't even go to church would do back in the day. You know, they have their wife and then they have Miss So and So. You know what I'm saying? On the other side of town. You know, and everybody knew that Miss So and So was, you know, Mr. Such and Such's second woman. Nobody messed with her. Nobody tried to talk to her. None of that. He just had two women. You know, he working at, you know, Ford Motor Plant or some damn where he's taking care of two households. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. That's good and clean. Mm-hmm. And she was single when he got with her. You know what I'm saying? That's good and clean. But what these Christian pastors will do, they won't even do it in a decent fashion like that. You know what I'm saying? They'll just have sex with somebody they know that they ain't supposed to have sex with.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of it, if I could, a lot of it's going to start off with, do you need counsel?
Yeah, that's exactly how it starts.
Yeah, you got some problems in your marriage, sister? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Right.
And he's going to tell you all the things that you want to hear.
Yeah.
And now listen, your husband might not be, all right. Your husband might be violent. Your husband might not be violent. There might not be any domestic abuse there. Maybe your husband drinks. And, you know, maybe he just goes to sleep too early on you. You know, has a couple beers.
Wrong.
Yeah, maybe there's nothing wrong. You're just not satisfied.
Yeah, he could be a dude, you know, she can have counsel with him, with the pastor, and she'd be like, I just don't feel like he's just paying enough attention.
Right.
And the pastor will work with that.
Yep. And he'll pay all the attention to you.
Yeah.
Put you and your family in the front row at church.
Right, exactly.
You can sing, like he'll give you a solo.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then next thing you know, y'all will be meeting up. And here's some of them are so slick. They'll give marriage counseling to the couple first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They'll get marriage counseling. Remember that brother that got killed by that Christian pastor?
Yeah, because that pastor was messing with his woman.
That's how they started.
Yep.
They started having them coming as a couple to the counseling with the pastor. But then, you know, he played football, so he got to be gone. Now, while he's gone, he continues to counsel with his wife instead of being like, no, I'm going to counsel y'all together.
Right. Which is the appropriate way to have done it.
Right. You know, he's not doing that. He now they meeting up places. You know what I'm saying? They meeting up here and there. He's married himself, so he got to go and sneak. You know what I'm saying? And meet somewhere way across town where you know his wife or his wife's people ain't gonna be.
Yeah, right. And just to show y'all how strong it is that brotherhood and that order and decency is in the UPK. I remember having a council with one of my ribs some years ago, and it was with General Hyman. And General Hyman asked my permission to speak to my wife. Now he's a general over me. I'm an officer. He's a general over me. But because those are very specific boundaries that we do not cross as a people, as a culture, as Israelites. Like he made sure that I was cool with that she talked to him, that he talked to her. Whereas these people will set it up privately amongst themselves.
Right.
Again, that brother's going to football practice.
Right.
Or football games. So now his wife is pretty much free game. And because he's a pastor, I mean, how can you say anything against a pastor? Not my pastor. My pastor would never do that.
Right.
No.
The pastor would do it in a heartbeat.
And
the
then,
pastor don't answer to no.
And then he murdered the husband.
Yeah.
When the husband was trying to confront him.
Right.
So he committed adultery, broke up that house, broke up that marriage, and murdered the husband.
And he was premeditating on top of that.
Yeah, because why else
he had good in the church?
Yeah, he knew.
You're right.
He knew.
You know, well, this nigga gonna be mad.
Yeah, once he find out, I'm gonna have to kill him.
Right.
I can't fight him. I'm gonna have to shoot him. You're not safe out there, man. I ain't trying to throw, a bunch of negative stories into the wind, hoping to, catch on to your paranoias. Just look at it yourself. You're not safe out there. You're not safe alone.
Right.
You belong with your people. Zephaniah 2:1, gather together. Nation not desired, man. It's these are the plagues and conditions that we live in. You can't trust them people out there in the world that are still, their mind is still in the world. We got to live out here. We got to slave out here. I got to travel out here. We got to do commerce out here. That's different than loving that world, though. Completely different. Your mindset's going to be different. So again, it's like I know we kind of got off track a little bit, but reading these visions with Ezekiel, where were we? I believe we ended at 17. We were on 18.
Okay, yeah, we covered 18.
Okay.
Verse 18. Then the glory of the Lord departed from off the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubim.
Now that does not mean that the Most High was down here on earth and now, separated from the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubim. That's just the glory of the Lord. It's like, how would you describe that? The glory of the Lord. Like, I don't want to say like his aura.
His pretty, but he kind of, want to use the word for, but it is, his it's kind of like the representative of how great he is, the representative of that. Like in one instance, the glory of the Lord was like a consuming fire.
There you go.
It was like a fiery tornado.
There you go. Yep.
Actually, it does go into him though, as we read on. You know what I'm saying? He's on the throne. It does go into that a little later on. You know what I'm saying? And then he starts to speak to Ezekiel from the throne.
Okay. All right, so this is just the glory of the Lord. What was I going to use?
Actually, if I could, what this is doing is Ezekiel seeing the throne going from the bottom of the throne going up. And every more things he started to see, you know what I'm saying, as his eyes go from the bottom, when he see the cherubs and the wheels, that's the bottom.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He's actually seeing the bottom. That'd be like, you know what that's like seeing? That's like seeing, remember Independence Day? The big chariot that was there in Independence Day? That's like seeing two of those.
Okay.
Right? But except for these are different. These, you know what I'm saying, is lit up with they firing off the colors of precious stones, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, the glory of the Most High is on them, you know what I'm saying? And then seeing two gigantic cherubs on the side of the wheels, you know what I'm saying? You just imagine how much of an awesome sight that is. And this is the bottom. This is just the bottom of the throne. It works its way up. That's what this chapter does. It works its way up.
All right, kind of comes. Yeah, man, that'll be good to see again.
Yeah, verse 19. And the cherubs lifted up their wings and mounted up from the earth in my sight. When they went out, the wheels also were beside them, and every one stood at the door of the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of God, the God of Israel, was over them above.
Now again, this is only talking about the God of Israel. In these records, I don't think that there's no other book that talks about the God of Israel being the God of any other nation. Now, he is the Lord and controller over all the earth, over all the galaxies, over all the universe.
Right, the creator,
right. So essentially, our God is the God of everybody else, but they're not worshiping our God. Even when they say God, like they've got a completely different concept in their head when they're talking about even the God of the Bible. Especially when they talk about Jesus. They got that homosexual white boy. That homosexual incestual white boy. But when they cling on to our records, I mean, again, when they live by those laws, they boost up. They get themselves boosted up. But again, there's certain things that they can never do. They can never come into the temple. That's why they build their own. That's why they call them the synagogue of Satan. That's why they know the difference in between us and them. And they prophesied about this. So this is Ezekiel going through his visions with the God of Israel, not the God of anybody else, not Zeus, not Hercules, not Baal, whatever his name was, not Diana. This is the God, the power of Israel. So like you good.
Verse 20. This is the living creature that I saw under the God of Israel by the river of Chebar, and I knew that they were the cherubims.
Okay.
We automatically knew what they were, you know.
And that does go very much in line with what you had just said about starting from the bottom,
Right.
its way up.
Right.
So yeah, so these cherubims are under the God of Israel. So they're kind of like leading the parade.
Right.
In that sense, leading the parade.
Right. You know, it's like everything in heaven is alive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Anything that's near the Most High is alive. The wheels are alive. You know what I'm saying? You know, everything is. That's why they had a spirit in it. You know what I'm saying? Everything that lives has a spirit in it. You know, and then the spirit of the cherubim was also in the wheels. That's why they did everything that the cherubim do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You did everything. You know, it's crazy. It reminds me of something that Officer DeBar said years ago, way back when I was a trooper. You know, he was telling me how he had seen an angel one time. You know, and the angel, you know, said he had like a sword and said, you know, and however he moved the sword, it was like an eye or something on the sword. It moved too. You know what I'm saying? Similar to what's going on here with the cherubim and the wheel.
That's crazy.
He had a dream, brother. It was a dream. You know, and he said, you know, if the angel turned one way, he said the angel had braids, but his braids was cold, so they was knitted together like a basketball net.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying? And then they had gold on them. You know, like in between you know how you got basketball net goes like that. Right. You got the joint, the parts that meet, and the parts that meet had gold on them.
Okay.
You know, and everywhere that he looked said that the eye, that there was a spirit in the sword. You know what I'm saying? And the sword would turn that way too. Whatever he did, the sword would do.
I want one of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, this, you know, according to this, I mean, you know, he had a real solid dream there. You know, he wasn't just making this up.
And also for anybody else out there that may have dreams or think that they have visions, get a proper interpreter for that before you go out telling your mama and your kids and you know your rib and everybody else. General Hyman has one of the coldest gifts of interpreting dreams, so I would definitely get in touch with that general and make sure that you know it wasn't just a dream that you had seen and you're exaggerating the events and going off on your own understanding. Get the counsel from a first before you go, you know, writing your screenplay.
Right. Yeah, or running around, you know what I'm saying, going on some, I'm gonna beat this, and then try to beat that, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case is.
Or before you make a podcast about it, like we don't want our people out there looking crazy.
Right.
We got enough Christian pastors, again, Israelites that are Christian pastors, going off their own intuition, their own ingenuity, not taking. They may have sincerity, not all of them, certainly not all of them, but some of them may have sincerity, but they are taking a misconception of this book based off of modern society, modern Christianity, and believing that they have a proper understanding of it. I heard this one brother say recently, how did he say it? He contradicted himself like in the same breath. And it was kind of a simple thing that he was talking about, but the devil's here to deceive you. He gives you a choice. Can't remember what he said in the middle, but then he finished it with saying, God gave you a choice. God gave you laws. He did not give you a choice. He did not say, all right, these are my laws. You can, you know, if you want to, you know, you can keep them, you can follow them. If you don't want to, all right, no sweat. He said, these are my laws. You keep these laws, this will happen. if you stray away from these laws, this is gonna happen. Like that's not a choice he was giving you. It was the pros and cons of following his rules. Now, so again, the brother said the devil's job is to deceive you, and he gives you a choice of, you can either do this, you can do that, and makes it seem like it's free will. But then he finished it off with saying, yeah, and God gave you a choice. So he kind of equated God to the devil there, and also intimated that the devil is an adversary to the Most High. Not knowing, obviously, that the devil, Satan, is an angel, is an employee, is a servant for the Most High, doing his job exact and right to how he's supposed to. But again, you leave it up to the churches, they'll have you believing in like The Exorcist and the Conjuring and all these other horror movies where you need one of those cross wearing, holy water throwing. And again, they're pretty much all Edomites in the movies. You need one of them to exorcise the demons out of you, out of your loved ones. When we saw what happened to those
the sons of Sceva.
we saw what happened to them. Now that I actually just I'll tell you about this afterwards. But things like that are real.
Right.
Things like that are very real.
But the exorcisms and the exorcism, the people that do exorcism, they know that the demons is real.
Right.
They doing it to make gain for money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to show displays and to get people to look at them as something spiritually great.
Burn some sage.
Right. Stuff like that. Everybody's going to them just like the root workers and everything, like New Orleans and Haiti and all that. You go to one, you get a curse put on you, then you got to go to another one to get it taken off. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I heard a situation where the woman had to tape 2 dimes to her nipples.
Good night.
You
know and again, if you look at it historically, that's not what we do. That's not like biblically. I'm saying historically, we have fallen into them traps throughout all the different imprisonments and oppressions under different nations and taking on their customs and their philosophies and adapting them to ours. But we've got a very strict outline on how we are supposed to operate, what customs we're supposed to follow, what high holy days supposed to keep. But it's like if we could, I think we got like 2 more, 2, 3 more. Let's just get through these real quick for time's sake. Where are we? 20?
20. We had verse 21. Verse 21. Everyone had 4 faces apiece, and everyone 4 wings, and the likeness of the hands of a man was under their wings.
So again, giving an account of the physical description of them, but now those 4 faces weren't 4 literal faces.
The 4 faces are actually, they were literal faces, but the faces changed.
So different symbols.
Yeah, remember the game Alter Beast.
No, I don't think I've
There's an old school game where Alter Beast, they call it Alter Beast because the beast alters. You know what I'm saying? It can alter and change its shape. Now, the angels and stuff like that ain't bound to the same physical laws that we bound to. They can change. They can change their image, but these images that they change to in this all represent something. You know what I'm saying? When they change it to a lion, the lions always talk about scriptures as getting bold, and you know what I'm saying? An eagle, they change it to an eagle. Eagles is real good with sight. You know what I'm saying? And the faces of a man. You know what I'm saying? The faces, this, that, all these different faces represent a certain characteristic. You know what I'm saying? Of, the angelic being. Oh, okay.
And then just again going back up, so like our one was saying, they got the man, they got the lion, they got the eagle, they got the face of the cherub. And how do I say this? Again, thanks to media and propaganda, in the Christian church and the Catholic church and your Muslim mosques and Judaism and I mean every other crackpot out there, crackpot philosopher out there. Um, it it seems more practical to believe that this is a fictional possibility, that this can only be real in our dreams or in these visions, and that creatures like this don't exist. Um, Half of y'all still think that the world is flat.
Right.
A lot of y'all still think that the sun is within our atmosphere. Some of y'all still, practice Santa Claus for Christmas.
You know, a lot of people still believe that the earth goes around the sun,
Correct.
And that that the earth goes up and down and not the sun. People actually believe that. They say when the sunrise, they believe actually the earth just gets lower.
Right.
And then the earth raises up.
And I've seen different models of galactic and like our solar system too. The trajectory of shit, because the whole Milky Way galaxy is spinning, is rotating while we're moving through space. So everything in this is still spinning and rotating while we're moving through our galaxy, while we're moving through space.
Right.
So I mean, scientific explanations for things like that's not too hard to grasp or like far fetched out of bounds.
Yeah.
But when you,
I was just ready to say everything. These things revolve around the earth because they service the earth. The sun services the earth.
right,
That's how you get your light and all of that. Same thing with the moon. It's your night light. These things service the earth, so they the ones that are actually doing the movement.
I say that for a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But when they try to scientifically explain the way the Bible, that's when people comes into a different mess.
Right.
They
want to do science. They got to start with the Bible.
Right.
That's what they got to do.
and realistically, like their goal is they're trying to retain this knowledge so that they can use it for their benefits, because they know that this would pump boost them up and put them on top of everybody else, and they're afraid of the repercussions. Again, there's a group of people out there that know what's going down, because their record started here too, so they know they are very familiar and well aware that their time is coming short, and in vain they are still trying to combat and meet the Most High on the battlefield. So for right now, I mean, they're just doing everything they can to keep us down. The longer that they can prolong the Most High return and sending Yahushua back, they get to enjoy all this, all the much more, and they get to keep us in the same squalling position that they've had us in for the past couple thousand years. We're not accepting that anymore. We're not accepting the living conditions that they've provided, as generous as it is, for EBT and Section 8 housing, and the cockroaches and bed bugs and mice, and poor schools, air pollution, horrible schools, horrible water. As nice as that is of them, it's it's coming to an end. All right, so I'm gonna read this last verse, and then we're gonna get up out of here. So verse 22, and the likeness of their faces were the same faces which I saw by the river of Kabar. Their appearances and themselves, they went every one straight forward. So again, it's just describing the way that they move, the relation of their physical characteristics, and next weekend when we get into chapter 11, it's gonna get deeper into. Let's see. It's gonna get deeper into the vision and how and other things that are gonna start taking place. So stay tuned for that. Again, get in contact with the school near you. We got Sabbath Service in every region and every major metropolitan city in America, from the East Coast, down South, Midwest, West Coast, Canada, Puerto Rico, South America, the UK. No excuse not to be able to find a class. Pretty much any day of the week. Even got brothers putting work out there on Sundays. So get in contact with them. Again, we've got the East Coast Cookout August 11th. East Coast Cookout August 11th. Let me just find that again so I can recap. Select it. All right, so the New York, August 19th to the 21st. Cookout, Texas, October 7th through the 10th. Las Vegas, November 11th through the 14th. And Florida, December 2nd to the 6th. Again, get in contact with that school, figure out what the travel arrangements are, what the lodging situation is, how you can contribute, and what needs you need to get met. Pay your tithes. Go to ISPK.com, scroll down to the donate now button. If you get the Zelle app, first name Israelite School, last name UPK, email address tithes@isupk.com. You can also make any contributions to $ all capitals UPK Minnesota, and that should be again, contact the school near you, see what their cash app is if that's the meeting that they're going through. Otherwise, you can always pay cash when you come into class, or maybe it's at the high holy days. September 6th, we got the memorial, the blowing of the trumpet. So again, get in contact with your school, see how you can get involved. See if there's any food that you need to make, or if you're able to pick up plates and cups and napkins and things like that. And again, Zephaniah 2:1, gather together. So with that, we're gonna end this out. Imagine. It's like just flip this back up just a little. Right there's good. Out the way. Wapanyam Hakadon, turn to face the east. And just like I'm supposed to take. No, finish that later. Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Find this in Matthew chapter 6, verses 8 through 13. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim. Kodash. Ayah. Shamka. Yahweh. Malakika. Taba'ah. Atazaka. Ayah. Aisha. Ba'aratazah. Kawa. Ayah. Bashamayim. Nathanaw. Lakam. Ko. Yawon. Wasalaklanau. Kabawatwanaw. Kasalaknaw. Kabawatinaw. Wala. Tabiyanaw. Pansawon. Abo. Awshanaw. Ayan. Ra. Kaya. Laka. Malakwa. Wa'al. Wa'apar. La'ulam. Amen. In English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, that will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
It isn't happening.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread.
and forgive us our debts,
Give us our
as
debt.
we forgive our debtors.
We give our debt.
And lead us not
Lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
deliver us from evil.
For thine is the
For
kingdom,
thine is the kingdom
and the power,
and the power
and the glory,
and the glory
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
Amen. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha,
Ah,
Ayanya,
yeah,
Al-Hahari,
heart,
Mayan,
yeah,
Yabaa,
yeah,
Azaria,
sorry,
Azaria,
sorry,
Ma'an,
mine,
Yahweh,
now,
Aisha,
shot,
Shemaim,
mine,
Wa'arataza, Ayatan, Lamawat,
what,
Wagalka,
God,
Al-Yanawam,
all you know,
Shamak,
my,
Anna,
now,
La'a, Yanawam,
one,
Wala'a,
ah,
Yayashan,
shot,
Shalma,
my,
Yashal, Yahweh,
now,
Shamak,
my,
Yahweh,
how,
Tazalka,
God,
Aliyad,
yeah,
Yamyanka,
yeah,
Yawamam,
mom,
Ashamash,
my,
La'a, Akaka,
God,
Wayara,
where rock,
Walayala,
I am,
Yahweh,
out,
Yashamarka,
yes, mark,
Makal Rai,
all right,
Yashamal,
yes, mark,
Adnapaska,
after fire,
Yahweh,
out,
Yashamal,
yes, mark,
Taza'athka,
ah,
Wabawa,
what,
Maita,
my stuff,
Why,
all right,
Awalon,
I will,
in English. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills,
I will lift up my eyes to the hill,
from whence cometh my help.
let's do my help,
My help comes from the Lord,
my help comes from the Lord,
which made heaven and earth.
may heaven and earth,
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
even I suffer that foot to be moved,
He that keepeth thee
and keep it,
will not slumber.
not slumber,
Behold,
hope,
he that keepeth Israel
keep it this,
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
slumber, Lord, sleep,
The Lord is thy keeper.
Lord, as I keep him,
The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Lord, as I shade upon my right hand,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
Lord, to my strength, your day,
nor the moon by night.
moon by night,
The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil.
Lord, to preserve thee from all evil,
He shall preserve thy soul.
preserve us, no,
The Lord shall preserve thy going out
Lord, to preserve us going out,
and thy coming in,
and our coming in,
from this time forth
this time forth,
and even forevermore.
and forevermore.
Pray for the power, the Hakak in Hebrew. Yahweh Shem Yahushua,
Yahweh Shem Yahushua,
Baba Kashah,
Shah,
the thunder now,
thunder now,
Hakak,
Ka,
Hakak,
Ka,
the Rapa'ah,
Ba, Ah,
call Makalah,
Alhamdulillah,
will call Madawa,
Alhamdulillah,
Hakak,
Ka,
the Tahar,
Tahar,
Hamat Zaran,
Amatazariah,
Hakak,
Ka,
the Akum,
Hakim,
Hamakim,
Mata,
Hakak,
Ka,
Arakhwat,
Arawa,
Atma'al,
Ma'al,
the Garsha,
Gar,
Shem Yahushua,
Shem Yahushua,
Dwight Amun,
Du'alaman,
in English. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushua,
name Yahushua,
please give us the power,
please give us the power,
power to heal
power to heal,
all manner of
all
sickness
men of sickness,
and all manner of disease,
all men of disease,
cleanse the lepers,
who is left,
power to raise unclean spirits,
power to
or
raise,
slack, the power to raise the dead,
power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean
power
spirits,
against unclean
to
spirits,
cast them out.
cast them out,
In the name of Yahushua,
name Yahushua,
thank you, so be.
thank you, so be it.
For to bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh Shem Yahushua,
Yahweh Shem Yahushua,
Barak Lanaw,
Barak Lanaw,
Wayashal,
Bayashal,
Wahat,
Barak,
Bayat Sapari,
Yashafar,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapa'ah,
Ah,
Magan,
Gun,
Hagan.
Gun,
This time again, you can say the name of the loved one once, and we'll repeat that name once. If you're following us on social media, you can type the name of the loved one, and we'll send the prayers up with you. Israelite School UBK,
Lord School, UBK,
House of Makabi,
Al-Bakar,
House of Dash,
Al-Bakar,
House of Tarak,
Rock,
House of Kanagabar,
Sinagabar,
House of Tazawa,
Zara,
House of Kabal,
Bob,
Benjamin,
Benjamin,
Jamin,
James,
Whitney,
Rick,
Annalie,
Ali,
Raphael,
Raphael,
McIntosh family,
Magnified,
Charles,
John,
all of Israel,
River,
I'm a crab,
House of Tarak,
I'm a Johnson,
I'm a Johnson,
Morgan Johnson,
Only Johnson,
Kim Johnson,
Kim Johnson,
Ashley K. Minnesota,
Ashley became Minnesota,
Ashley K. Kentucky,
Ashley became Kentucky,
Ashley K. Indiana,
Ashley became again,
all of Israel,
all of Israel,
all
all
of Israel,
the shore of Israel,
the Hall family,
the Hall family,
Todd family,
Ty family,
Cook family,
Cook family,
Floyd family,
Floyd family,
Puckey family,
Bucky family,
Todd family,
Ty family,
all of Israel,
all of Israel. Bashem Yahushua, What I'm on. What we just said was in English, Lord, in the name of Yahushua, bless us in Israel, in the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones. In the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahaim, Al-Damiyah Lakah, Al-Takarash, Wa-Al-Tashqua, O, Kayah Na, Wabika, Yahama Yawan, Ra'ash, Al-Amaka, Yahra Salaki, Yahra Yamu, Sawai, Wayata Yatazwa, Al-Tazawapanka, Amaru, Lakawa, Wanakayadan, Magalia, Wala'aya Zakar, Sham Yasha'ala, Awada, Kaya, Naitazwa, Laba, Yakarwa, Ayaka, Baya, Yakarathwa, Ahalia, Arwan, Yashamai Aliyan, Mawaba, Wagarin, Gabal, Wamwan, Wamlak, Palashat, Amishabia, Tazawar, Gam Ashawa, Nalawa, Imam, Aywa, Zawa, Labani Lawa, Salah, Aisha Laham, Kamadian, Kasiya Sarah, Kayabian, Banachal, Kwayashwan, Nashamaru, Bayandar, Hayawa, Daman, Ladam, Shaitamu, Nariyamawu, Karab, Wakazaba, Wakazaba, Wakazor, Manai, Kal Nasayakamu, Ashar, Amaru, Nayarash Salaki, Nayarashah, Lanawa, Atta, Nahawa, Alahain, Alahaya, Shaitamu, Kagogla, Kakwash, Lapanya Rauka, Kaash, the Byra Yaira, Wakalahaba, Talahat, Hardin, Khan, Tardam, Basaraka, Wabasa Wapathka, Tabalaham, Malai, Panyaham, Palawan, Waya, Wakwashwa, Shamka, Yaawu, Yabaswa, Waya, Bahawa, Adi, Waya, Kaparu, Waya, Abaru, Waya, Daiwu, Kaya, Ata, Shamka, Yaawu, Labarka, Ayuwan, Ko, Rataza, keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, be not still, O God, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, and they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyrians also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as the Sisera, as the Jabin, at the brook of Kishon, what perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeeb. Yea, all their princes as Zabak, and as Elamun, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God,
Oh my God.
make them like a wheel,
Make them like a wheel.
as a stubble before the wind,
Stubble before the wind.
as the fire burneth the wood,
Fire burns the wood.
and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
Flame set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with that tempest,
Persecute them with that tempest.
and make them afraid with thy storm.
Make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame.
that they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Lord,
O Lord.
let them be confounded and troubled forever.
Let them be confounded and troubled forever.
Yea, let them be put to shame and perish,
Let them be put to shame and perish.
that men may know that thou,
That men may know that thou,
whose name alone is Yahweh,
whose name alone is Yahweh,
art the most high over all the earth.
art the most high over all the earth.
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth,
and all things living.
and all things living.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
the name Yahweh Shai,
King Yahweh Shai,
listen to us now,
now,
right now.
right now.
Send evils and curses,
So you can curse,
punishment and destruction
punishment, and destruction
to the heathens
to the heathen.
that speak against us,
Speak against us.
thy prophets,
Thy prophet,
the teachers, the princes,
prince,
the priests,
priest,
the Israelite brothers,
Israelite brothers,
and the school.
and
Send evils and curses,
so you can curse,
punishment and destruction
punishment, and destruction
to the heathen,
to the heathen.
and shake loose
Take loose,
the treasure of the rich of Israel
treasure of the rich of Israel,
that refuse to give to the school,
and refuse to give it to school.
force their riches
Force the riches
to enter into thy sanctuary.
into the sanctuary.
Send evils and curses,
So you can curse,
punishment and destruction
punishment, and destruction
to the Edomites
to the Edomites
and the nations,
and the nation,
and their drug dealers,
drug dealers,
court system,
court system,
prison system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our
all
enemies,
the governments by him,
Amalek synagogues and
and
armies,
with synagogues and all,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
Pope,
Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Klan,
Aryan Nation,
every nation,
skinheads,
any,
Pacific gay movement,
gay movement,
lesbian movement,
as you move,
spies,
right,
workers of witchcraft,
the witchcraft,
NASA space
Roman
programs,
space program,
Army,
army,
Navy,
navy,
Air Force,
Air Force,
Marines,
Marine,
Wall Street,
Wall Street,
open up the internet
open at the internet,
and the airwaves,
and the airways,
cable access
cable
chambers,
access
and
channel,
the radio chambers.
radio channel,
Convict the spirit
with the spirit
of any of thy people
any of that people
that seek to stop
seek to
us,
stop us,
and bring swift destruction
bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
to all the heathen,
that stand in the way
stand in the way,
or try to stop
or try
us
to stop us,
from broadcasting your words
broadcasting your words
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues,
Lose all flesh,
cause them to go to and fro
go to and fro,
through the earth and consume them.
earth consume them,
Let the plague shake
and the plague shake.
the house of the thief and the murderer,
House of the thief and the murderer.
the Yahweh shot,
Yahweh said,
Michael and Gabriel,
Michael and Gabriel,
and down with the flying
down
saucers,
the flying saucer,
punish all the heathens
punish all the heathen,
that come up against us
come against us,
as we speak thy word,
we speak that word,
cause it to be known by all.
because we know all,
There's the angels that have done it,
because the angels have done it,
cause it to be spread through the media,
because we spread through the media,
throughout the whole world,
throughout the whole world,
cause them to shake it that
come
come.
and shake that
In the name of Yahweh Shai,
Name Yahweh Shai,
thank you always.
you always,
So be it.
so be it.
Saw. That concludes Sabbath service. Shalom.